We will have only 4 speakers. I would like to invite them to the stage. We have Redouane Merrouch from the Moroccan Academic Wide Network, MARWAN. Please, MARWAN. I have Camille Abou-Nasr. He's from the Lebanese American University.
Yes.
We have Habib Youssef. He will be representing the CCK, the Khawarizmi Center, Computing Center, and RNU, the Research Network Unit for Tunisia. And Ahmed Dabbagh, who has been working for Akamut, and he was one of the key people in the regional activities in the Arab region. So Ahmed Dabbagh, also please come to the stage. So we'll have, what is Habib? Habib? All right. So we'll start with Habib. So this session, as I said, is just an update from our region, and we invited MARWAN and CCK because they have signed recently an agreement with ASREN. Habib. In addition to that, we have TechCARE, which is a very, I don't know what to say about it. A very good experience in building a network and given the challenges that they are facing. So I would love to take the time. And we'll have Ahmed Dabbagh who will be speaking on the 4th Industrial Revolution annual. So allow me to start with Redouane Merrouch to speak about MARWAN. Redouane, please.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Yousef, for giving me this opportunity to share our humble experience for MARWAN. In fact, MARWAN is a department of the CNRST, is the National Center of Scientific and Technical Research.
Closer. قرب عن الموضوع.
The CNRST is a public institution. It depends on the Minister of Higher Education. It's a little bit confusing, but CNRST is not exclusively in research, but rather is to help universities to do research. So it has 2 missions. The first mission is funding research. He launched a call for project according to the thematics that are considered as priority for the country. He has also, the second mission is the resource sharing. So, sharing of heavy and expensive equipment. For this mission, to achieve this mission, he has 3 departments. ERTS, to share heavy equipment in chemistry, biology, material science. ENIST, to ensure access to all researchers in Morocco to technical and scientific information by financing subscription to the electronic journals and databases. And MARWAN, who is responsible for federating all IT projects for the Ministry of Higher Education by setting up electronic infrastructure and services. In terms of infrastructure, MARWAN has set up 2 important tools. The first one is National Research and Education Network called MARWAN. MARWAN is Moroccan Academic and Research Wide Area Network, and a high-performance computing cluster for researchers. Now we have a project for setting up a cloud for research and higher education. This project is for next year. Concerning services, EDROM, EDM, and digital certificates are available. And next year, EDVPN will also be available. We have also a project to establish a security operation center for the higher education. For both SOC and cloud, these two projects will be possible only if the Ministry of Higher Education accepts to provide MARWAN with financial and human resources. Otherwise, it will not be possible. MARWAN NREN started in 1998. It's founded by the Ministry of Higher Education, CNRST and University. The share of funding varies depending on the version of MARWAN, and all education and research institutions can be connected to MARWAN. Public and private. The objective of MARWAN are the same for all NRENs, is to provide connectivity, high bandwidth connectivity to Moroccan universities and offer federated services. Also, one of the main objectives is to increase exchange between the universities and to connect to the regional network to facilitate universities' participation in international scientific collaborations. The last objective is to reduce the global cost of the connectivity. This final objective was a requirement for the Ministry of Higher Education and Universities, because the overall cost of MARWAN should be always less than the cost of the connectivity of internet at the same bandwidth. If we do not respect this point, I don't think that MARWAN can continue. This objective had a positive impact on the cost of telecommunication links at national level, because each time a call of tender for MARWAN was issued, the three operators was obliged to align their public offers on MARWAN tariffs. As I said, MARWAN started in 1998. It went through several versions, MARWAN 2 in 2005, MARWAN 3 in 2010, and we are in the fourth version, MARWAN 4, since 2017. We chose to give numbers to MARWAN because because there is a big difference between different versions in terms of architecture, financing, and telecom operators. The only continuity was managed is to ensure that the migration between versions is done without any interruption and in a transparent way for the universities. As you notice, for each version we changed architecture, listed lines for MARWAN 1, VPLS layer 3 for MARWAN 2 and 3, and VPLS layer 2 for MARWAN 4. We also had different telecom operators for each version. The model of funding changed also. We had the ministry funding MARWAN and MARWAN 4, while CNRST and universities for MARWAN 2 and 3. For access, the maximum offered to universities in 1998 was 2 megabits per second. Today, we can offer them up to 10 gigabits per second. Regarding the human and financial resources dedicated to MARWAN, as indicated on the graph, they did not evolve enormously, even if the services and bandwidth have increased significantly. It should be noted that 95% of the budget indicated goes directly to the telecom operators. Only the remaining 5% are used by MARWAN to develop the different services. Our main concern today is the human resources. That's decrease instead of increasing. Regarding the regional connectivity, Morocco has always considered the connectivity strategic for our education and research system. MARWAN was one of the first NREN in the region to be connected to Géant, with 34 megabits per second link in 2005, which increased to 155 megabits per second in 2006. At this time, the link with Géant was the only connection, external connection for us. MARWAN did not have any connectivity via local operators. its only internet connectivity was via the link with GEO. Unfortunately, this link was interrupted in 2010 for lack of funding. It should be noted that the rates charged by the operators for the southern region of the Mediterranean for the international connection are 100 times more expensive than those of their northern counterparts in the Mediterranean. The link was reestablished in 2012 for 40 megabits per second, but this time only for the research traffic. This link was interrupted again because of the problem of the funding and the problem of the, and also for the problem of the asymmetry between this link at 40 megabits per second and the internet link for MARWAN 3, which achieved 1 gig at this time. The funding problem is still relevant for this link. However, until we found a solution, we decided to restore this connection in this year via 1 gig VPN link through ASREN in London. This is the current architecture for MARWAN. The network is built over the VPLS layer 2 of the telecom operator. Universities and research institutions can be connected to links between 100 and 5 gig. The network is connected to internet via 2 links in 2 ports in Rabat and Casablanca. The total capacity is 20 gigabit per second. MARWAN is also connected to Géant with 1 VPN link. The traffic is limited to 1 gig per second. Alors, concerning the architecture of the MARWAN, the VPLS layer 2, for us, the backbone is a black box for us. The only guarantee we have are the SLA that we specified in the contract. The demarcation line between the MARWAN and the operator is the line read on slide. We would have preferred to have a dedicated dark fiber network, but it's completely impossible for the moment for 2 reasons in Morocco. First one, there are no fiber infrastructure operators in Morocco, but only telecom operators, who have always refused to give us an offer for dark fiber. In the current situation, it is impossible to find funding for such network, even if there was an offer. MARWAN connects today more than 200 institutions via 80 links across 30 cities. It's a community of 15,000 researchers and 800,000 students. For the services offered by MARWAN, first, the connectivity. It's offered high bandwidth access with connectivity for the internet and GEO. MARWAN is a native IPv6 network supporting QoS and multicast devices. In addition of that, MARWAN offers the EduROM Identity Federation, who is member of EduGain, and also offer electronic certificates thanks to TCS. High-performance computing service is one of the most important services requested by researchers today. Since 2005, MARWAN has set up a great computing facility and a certification authority recognized by a great PMA. This facility was the first one in our region. Last month, we launched a new HPC cluster with 760 cores and with a low latency network from Omnipet Intel. MARWAN has many challenges facing its improvements. The first one is the governance aspect. The first one is the governance aspect. MARWAN is not, as I said, is not a legal entity, but just a department of CNRST that in turn reports to the Ministry of Higher Education. So MARWAN is completely dependent on the strategy of the CNRST and the Ministry. Then there are the funding problem. That is, funding is limited and depends on several sources and never assured. Human resources today is a big issue for us. We have difficulties in recruiting because we have to wait for the ministry to give CNRST job positions, and it's very difficult for us also to keep them, since most of them prefer to go abroad. Another challenge of MARWAN is to work with the universities on improving their campus network, and to have a large wireless coverage in order to ensure access to all students for a better use of MARWAN and its offered the services that it's offered by MARWAN. The last point concerns the telecom environment in Morocco. As long as there are no infrastructure operators, MARWAN will have limited choice regarding the development of its backbone and will depend on the telecom operators. In my opinion, the success of an NREN is not just the number of gigabit or the number of services that it's offered. The real success is in having it used and deployed by the universities. On this concern, you can see on the slide that MARWAN and the universities need to make a huge effort if they want MARWAN to continue. To finish, I would like to share you with you, to conclude, I would like to share with you our vision for the future. For MARWAN, we have a 5-year contract that ends in December 2021. And as always, we need to start working on the future architecture of the network, prepare the tender, and especially find the financing and convince decision makers of the importance of the NREN concept. For that, we envisaged 2 scenarios. The first is an optimistic scenario. One, if it supposes that we will have the necessary funds to continue as a provider of connectivity and a provider of services. Notice that 95% of the budget was directly in the pocket of telecom operators. The second one, less optimistic, is that even if we don't find the necessary funding, we will still maintain the concept of NREN, but we will stop providing connectivity and provide only services over internet. In this case, the CNRST can provide the funding because it represents only 5% of the total budget. In a way, we are moving from a classical NREN to what I can call virtual NREN or NREN as a service. Thank you. It's all I have to say about MARWAN. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Redouane. Okay, thank you, Redouane, for this presentation about the Moroccan wide area network. Allow me now to invite Mr. Camille Abou-Nasr. He is the CIO of the Lebanese American University. He will be speaking about TechCARE.
My name is Camille Abou-Nasr. I'm the Assistant Vice President for IT at LEU. I'm going to walk you through the story of TechCARE in Lebanon. I prepared this presentation jointly with Dr. Asfour from UB. TechCARE really is the result of perseverance, commitment, and harmony and camaraderie among the heads of IT of universities in Lebanon. We went through many, if you wish, hurdles, and but because we believe in the value that we can give to our constituents, and being students, faculty, researchers, we kept on really trying at it until we really made it. So the journey began in 2011, I think you all know probably. We tried then to establish an NREN in the classical, in the usual way, which where the Ministry of Higher Education and CNRST led the effort to establish an NREN. Basically, the effort was then to establish the network and have universities join. Again, but political infrastructure hurdles really prevented us from doing that, and the project went dormant for a while. We didn't stop. We continued in the same spirit, and but with more universities on board joining the effort. we went to such an advanced stage that we thought we were going to make it. Our lawyers drafted the agreements, and the agreements floated around the universities for months. We all thought, no, it's going to happen, but then again, we hit the same obstacles like before. However, what developed here in this second round was heads of IT were working more together. We got to know each other more. We got to know the value that we can deliver to our institutions more. And AUB had some services available to them. They offered them for us, and suddenly EduROM was all over Lebanon, and that was a great achievement. We could all really feel the value of EduROM. So we said, let's continue in the same spirit. Let's roll out services, and that others join when they come. I mean, the legal entity is just a legal entity. I mean, as long as we can still work with ASREN, Connect, so why not? So this is what happened. I like to call it, if you build it, they will come. Us universities work together more closely, and we started rolling out services. And the governance module was that of, again, in the sense of, in the spirit of the camaraderie we had with each other. It's that decisions are unanimous, especially in terms of new members and new services. And really, it didn't take much. In 6 months, we were able to put it through, and our 5 universities now signed. These are not the signatures of myself or Yousef. No, they are the presidents. Our presidents believed in it. We all talked to our presidents, convinced them of the importance, and sure enough, they all signed. We're currently 5 members. We're hoping to expand to 10 later on within a year. And this is the photo that we are very proud of. You can see our presence in the middle. I think you know Dr. Asfour and myself behind him, and heads of IT from the universities in addition to the presidents. Again, so this agreement, we called it TechCARE. TechCARE revolves around services, and the base service that's mandatory is led by AUB. Basically, AUB had all the services available to it, and here really AUB was very transparent with us in costs. They did not, they only wrote down the cost to us without any extras, and that, I mean, yes, there are base services, it is a fee, but really it's so little if you think about it in terms of what we will get in return for it. So, and really the whole spirit about it is that if somebody is making an investment, just to make sure that in this case, AUB, for example, they're making an investment on behalf of all of us, just to make sure that we will pay back, and that's it. But also we're looking at other services, and where each institution can be a lead. Such services can be a library, libraries working together, a shared telescope. One of them, our universities has a digital telescope that we're looking at ways to share the use of it. Others can be, of course, high-performance computing. But again, one of the other services that we're going to provide is that each university will lead negotiations on behalf of the other universities in terms of leveraging our purchases. I mean, we all spend millions of dollars every year buying equipment, but if you combine that together, I'm sure we could get a better deal. So we're going to leverage that also, and each university currently is leading an initiative with a certain supplier to get this done. And again, as I mentioned, we're working on expanding membership to 10 this year. What are the achievements we've had so far? Currently, we're all on EduROM, and I had this, my boss once was traveling to Munich, and he told me I really needed internet, so I was going to go to Starbucks. Suddenly I passed by some university there, and I connected with Euro. So that was a nice story I thought I'd share with you. Anyway, certificate services, we're getting DigiCert. Again, thanks to the huge effort with ASREN, EU-Med project. This year, we doubled the connectivity available to Lebanon, and with strong negotiations from AUB, we got a truly good price. That was amazing. We managed to peer together. Yes, we did connect together for free. Again, we used our negotiation power, and we managed to establish a peer network for all of us where we can communicate for free. That was amazing. Federated services, and we're starting to establish a center of excellence for the use of Banner. Banner is widely used among all of us, so we're really looking forward to having a center of excellence. So these are the services that are coming on the way. I think I covered that, mainly collective agreements with vendors, key vendors, collaboration with CERN. We were at the advanced stage with CERN, shared telescopy, and interlibrary services. Yes, we are still experiencing some challenges. The traditional challenges we talked about before, mainly the connectivity services or the infrastructure services and political aspects. But again, and we were also looking at more to share more services, be creative, and to help our universities in terms of innovation, to be more innovative by whatever we do. And of course, money is always the problem these days, in light of shrinking budgets. I think we're all experiencing that these days. So basically, that's the update I have for you. If you have questions later, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Camille. We will keep the questions to until the end so that we can have another round of questions. Now, allow me to invite Professor Habib Youssef. He's the General Director of the CCK of Tunisia. Habib, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Well, in the 10 coming minutes, I'll be giving an overview of what is CCK and what is the National Research and Education Network in Tunisia. Just a brief introduction, what is CCK, where are we today and where we are heading. Well, this is CCK, it's actually part of it. This is the administrative building. But we have other buildings behind it and to the right of that. So this is where we are hosting all services provided to research center, universities, administrative building around Tunisia. Several, basically, hundreds of kilometers that we cover. Well, CCK, Centre de Calcul Khwarizmi, has been created since 1976, and it has been in existence since then, providing basically education services, administrative services, and computing services. That's why it's called Centre de Calcul, Computing Center. And the first 20 years, it was really giving that basic administrative services, few education services, and plenty of computation services. But since 1997, it became the application service provider, the internet service provider, and the manager of the National Research and Education Network. Okay. Its mission basically takes care of the NREN, which it's known within Tunisia, RNU, Réseau National Universitaire, RNU. And this is our basically domain name. Okay. We are an application service provider, internet security service provider, plenty of things. We provide consultation services to all university campuses and research centers. We provide training also to the technical personnel that is spread around these institutions, and we play an observatory role for technological and scientific development in IT for the academic field. Well, what are we today? Well, we, in terms of infrastructure, the infrastructure has evolved quite significantly since when we started until we are now. Basically, as far as the middle of 2018, we are a totally fiber optic network. So everybody is connected by fiber. Before we started actually with the leased lines, limited in capacity and very costly. Now it's totally fiber-based network. In terms of our backbone is in the Grand Tunis. So this is, we have 4 points of presence separated by around 5 to 10 kilo and linked by high-speed links. So, around basically 20 gig per second. All higher education and research institutions and centers, student dorms, university residence, and all, we have actually, as of today, we have around 440 sites connected to our POPs at the backbone. The overall bandwidth access is around 7 gig per second, and our international traffic is nearly 5 gig as of November. This is our backbone. So these are the 4. So Wardiya, Qasba, Manar, Tunis Manar, and Manouba. This is where headquarters is. Okay, so these are, and everybody comes to us from there. They are authenticated, filtered, whatever, and then either they receive services from our data center in our headquarters, or they go through ATI to internet. So this is the way to internet, this way or this way. So there are 2 paths. Each one, so it's 10 gig. This is a screenshot from the Network Operation Center of our Internet Access Provider, ATI, الشركة التونسية للإنترنت. It's about 5 gig. Okay. This is from our own NOC. It gives typically the same traffic. Okay. As far as now, but we are undergoing a major upgrade nowadays. But as of this month, that's what we have. We have over 100 racket servers and nearly 150 terabytes of storage. What sort of services? All sorts of services. Everything is really centralized in Tunisia, so everything is hardware. So web hosting is with us. The Zimbra email and collaboration platform is with us. SMS services, we provide SMS service to the entire community, students, faculty, administration, it's with us. We have the gateways with us. Security, antivirus, firewalling with us. And of course, we have plenty of other university services, access to all libraries spread around the various colleges. They are really housed with us, etc. Okay. Where are we heading? Actually, we started embarking for now a couple of years on implementing really this vision. We are embarking on making the Tunisian National Research and Education Networks as a global platform, providing all sorts of IT services that support productivity, efficiency, and academic collaboration among our researchers and scientists and students. It's really providing all sorts of platform for innovation, not just access, not just infrastructure. And through numerous actions, okay, things that have already been implemented and others that are ongoing. Among the major actions that you are going through is we are now in the process of migrating to a brand new data center. It's a 3-tier data center according to standard, and this is going to allow us really to make use of agile technology in terms of virtualization and running our own private cloud for the community. Now, our customer, basically faculty and students, they have access to public clouds such as Azure of Microsoft. But this will continue to be, but also we'd like to put all our national application and registrar services and that's all on our private cloud. We are working on that right away, and it should be deployed this year. This is basically the new data center that we put in place. So we need now to lay down the system and the services. We are working on that now. Other projects that some have been done, other gone. Basically, the Africa Connect 2 project, we just signed this year, I think in October, Youssef, in October we signed the contract for access to Géant through 1 gigabit per second VPN circuit. We have been also, Yousef in his yesterday in a beautiful speech that he made, that he said it's important to have trust of your community. We really have embarked since now nearly 3 years. We have been moving around to various campuses, organizing a training session and talking to people and telling them what we are doing to gain trust. This is for nearly since 2016. We started working on that. So this is now for 3 years. We already started the deployment of IPv6. Just we are waiting for the operator to provide native IPv6 in the network, in the backbone of the telecom operator. Otherwise, we have it at some campuses, IPv6. We are also in the process of restructuring our campuses networks. And so the entire network will be covered totally by Wi-Fi Outdoor Plus. It's a well-structured campus network with fiber that belongs to us. It's not now the colleges, they are connected directly to us through the telco operator by fiber. Everybody, each one has its own fiber. We'd like them to mutualize and share really the infrastructure, so that you'll be able to offer them much more capacity at a lower cost. And the other project that is really, we hope that it will see light this year, is the deployment of an HPC infrastructure. It's over 100 teraflops of high-performance computing infrastructure. The space has been ready for at least 3 years. We are just waiting for the hardware and software to be installed and be operational, hopefully, the first half of this year. And this is basically, the space has been there for nearly now 3 years. It's over 40 square meters, readily available. That's basically, and there are plenty of other things that are in the ground. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Habib. Allow me to invite Ahmed Dabbagh. Are you going to answer a question or to put a question?
10 minutes? 10 minutes. Let's see. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Bonjour. I will not talk about NRENs. I will not talk about IT. I will talk about our children's future. I will talk about what's happening actually in our educational system in Arab world. Why we fail in introducing competent graduates to the market? What are the gaps and how we will mitigate for the future? What's our future? Our future started yesterday. Fourth Industrial Revolution started since 2 years. It started by deploying artificial intelligence, by interfacing the human brain with machines, by having the SpaceX going to the moon and coming back on the same day, by having a lot of invention every day since. To do so, imagine the future in 10, 15 years, when our children of the classroom now in primary school, they will be the engineer of the future, dealing with machines, or the machine will deal with them. It's up to us to prepare them for that. How we will do this one, specifically in the Arab world, because I'm really interested to do something in the Arab world to have a revolution in the educational system. His Excellency Dr. Abou-Nasr said today, we don't need researchers, we need inventors. No, we need researchers and we need inventors. We need both of them. Dr. Saydam, he presented to us His Excellency to preserve the position. Dr. Saydam, the Minister of Education in Palestine, he presented to us the future foresight of the education in Palestine. But believe me, this could be a model for the future foresight of all Arab worlds in doing the same, and improving the teaching and learning in our schools and in our universities. We are not in a dark matter, absolutely not. We have some lights. The higher education ranking and the QS 2018-19, they showed us a lot of improvement from universities ranking top 1,000 universities worldwide. Specifically, we have seen Egypt and Algeria improving a lot in the quality of their universities. But we would like to see it in all universities. Why? Universities are the interface between education and employment. If our graduates fail to be employee in the future technology, it's our fault. Why we did this one? I have a lot of whys. The W here, you will see it a lot. The impact of technology in education, some think that when I introduce technology in a classroom means I am in the future of education. No, absolutely not. Technology is an enabler. It helps us in facilitating the state-of-the-art of teaching and learning. Of course, you see here, teachers still play a big role in spreading the knowledge, but not as the main knowledge generator. He is a mentor. He is a facilitator. Means we have a lot of efforts to train our teachers to become facilitator and mentor. The benefit of technology in education, believe me, if any NREN take only this slide and try to create services for university colleges, a lot of students will like the idea of active learning, collaboration, no boundaries, and content engagement, which from these four things we are suffering in delivering them in a proper way to our students. Then, when we will start to introduce all these methodologies in our educational system, and if we don't do it, it started already, and we will be behind the future. This slide shows the fourth industrial revolution and education. And as Dr. Asfour yesterday said, we have the six why, correct? And here we show them, we have the 6 any. any power of 6, I remember. Anywhere, anytime. We talked about blended learning, online learning, but we talked a lot. We have some few initiatives in the Arab world. But at the end, when our graduate has a certificate or a diploma from this institution, he is not recognized. It means we have real reform to take in consideration for the online learning and online teaching. We have virtual labs. We have a lot of virtual labs that are there. Like here we see the NREN are thinking now about building HPC, okay, high performance computers. And we had the grid computing since 10 or 15 years, which means we are improving in the power of calculation and in the power of storage and in the power of the decision making. Why? Because the data here is becoming the future oil. But where's our educational data? Where's our research data in our worlds? This here, that's what we have to start, because doing artificial intelligence, if we don't have enough data to analyze and to take a decision, it makes no sense. This one of the examples I can show. I'm in a hurry because, okay, I see Yousef, okay. Here, try to connect the dots between the need of the schools or universities from the services or from the technology and the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution. You see, for example, EdTech services. This is what the NREN are doing. This is all educational and education technology services are building for the community. But the future will be, we need smartness in these services. How to build them? And who will build it for us? If we don't start now, in this case, the future will be that we are also behind. For the IoT, we have a lot of smart campuses now. They are introducing in the classroom some sensors. This is to measure the attractiveness of the students with the professors. And this is good for the professor to see that they are really in line with his lecture or not, or they are distracted. And we have a lot of ideas about the IoT in the campus that we have to start in our region. Robotics also, big data analytics. We have to start from the early stage. We have good initiatives, believe me, somewhere, but unfortunately we don't hear about them, like introducing in the curriculum of the K-12 the coding from early stage. Why not? The coding, we learn coding in university. Now people are learning coding in primary school. Of course, the coding is different from here and here, but the concept of coding, the logic design of coding, it has to be in the concept of the early stage. This I give you the difference between the traditional education system, which was based on the knowledge at all. Only knowledge, which means here we are giving the knowledge to our students, and they are graduated only with knowledge. That's how we see some engineers, they are only theoretical engineers, not application engineers. How to do this and to guarantee that the student is apt to be to the market need for the future, we have to introduce the competency-based learning, which means enhance the skill in the curriculum, adding to this one, having its competency, that he acquired the skill in a proper way. How do we do this one? We do a continuous assessment of this one. And here it has a lot of literature here in the teaching and learning methodologies, and I will show you some slides about this. Now, our engineers or our graduates are going to the professional life. Sometimes they fail. Why? Because they think they are strong in technology or in hard skills, but they fail in soft skills. They are not able to present their ideas. They are not able to debate in critical thinking, and they are not able to present properly. And they are not able to be social with others. And here the soft skills, it has to be introduced in the curriculum in early stage also, that here to give them the value also and to let them work in a team. I heard today somebody said even in the K-12, the pupil are selfish. They don't like working with others. And here we have to do it in an early stage here, to let them working together, to work in a group or in a project-based learning, to work in a competency-based learning. And here the difference between technical skill and social skill, people think that's only acquiring technical skills I become competent. Absolutely not. The soft skills are more important because technical skills are entering to a machine. Here the interface human-machine. But the soft skill that it helps you in being well integrated in your company, but also socially to be a leader. Here one example of merging this the competency-based learning adopted by the vocational education. Suddenly we look at the standards framework in Australia and in Germany and in England. We saw that this method was adopted years back. That's why they are advanced in labor market and labor value, also in introducing the students in a proper way in the companies. And here when we see invention, and we see inventors, a lot of them, when he is competent and he is in the society, he is working also to be creative and to be innovative and to think out of the box. And here, this framework, I think it will be adopted in UAE. This is the UAE framework for the qualification framework adopted by the Ministry of Education. And you see here the state of the art that we have a parallel track between academia and vocational and can be crossed together. Means here we can have applied doctorate instead of having a doctor, okay, who knows only on the specialization he has. Now, I will not take too much time here. You know about the cone of learning, and here the cone of learning, this is the way of delivering the message or the knowledge from the teacher to the student in the classroom, either by the speech only or adding kind of a multimedia elements like presenting and video and the speech, but after by acting. And here acting, it acquires that we have 90% of the students are acquiring the knowledge in the right way. And the difference between the teacher-centered, which is unfortunately the most important teaching methods we are still delivering in our schools and universities. And still now, I'm sorry, I'm assistant professor also. I saw a lot of assistant professors, they are reading from the slides. They are reading word by word. Or they have 10 lines or 15 lines in the slide, and this is the way how he delivers his course. If we stay like this, the future, Allahu Akbar. Okay. Now the student center, this is how we do this one. We have a lot of methodology by using technology. Flipped classroom is a great methodology. If we don't have technology, we cannot apply. The flipped classroom means the student, he will acquire the knowledge by a video and a self-paced at home or anywhere. When he's coming to the class it will be project-based lesson, by groups that people are working together. And here we see that if the student didn't understand something, we can explain him in a certain time that it shares this experience with others. Good. In doing so, and to have really competent graduates, we need also industrial cooperation between universities and the industry. Now the industry are playing a role of selling professional certificates. Unfortunately, they are doing it for a business, but the universities are not doing it in a right way. The right way is to introduce these companies or this professional certificates in the curriculum, that the student, when he's graduated, he automatically has also the competence of certain skills from these companies by acquiring the professional certificates. Here, the anywhere, anytime, any device, and the slide will be shared, and you will see here the evolution of the employees of the future. For example, In the past, the employee has to be present at work. Now, okay, we are not asking the employee to be at work. He can be at home, he can work abroad. He can work online. For example, attendance. We don't need, okay, attendance, he has to be present in the premises. A lot of things here that they are evolving the way of doing an employment of the future. Why we do this one? This is to prepare for the requirement of the fourth industrial revolution. Small differences. You saw, I think, I love this slide. The difference between the skills from 2015 to 2020. What's amazing in this one is you don't see technical skills. You see only soft skills. They are imposing of the skills of the future. Which means here we have really to push from an early stage all the requirement of the innovation, creativity, self-communication, presentation skills, and teamwork. It has to be an early stage. The job of the future, of course, I said as the hard skills here. You see here that we have the management skills. Of course, as I said yesterday, we have an elimination of 12 million jobs in 2030. But the good news is that a creation of 18 million new jobs. But this 18 million new jobs, we have to be adopted by the technology and also know about the principles of the fourth industrial revolution. Here the conclusion, educational reform revolution, everywhere, anywhere. And this is really the future. If we don't do this one, believe me, our children will be worse than us. Thank you very much.
Okay, now we have time for questions. If there is a question to the audience, so I want to ask, please identify yourself and to whom you are asking the question.
Yes, just one question if I can, especially for the last intervention. One thing is to use technology as a tool for education in all the perspectives we have seen. Excellent presentation. But the second thing is to use technologies to train people in other perspectives. They need to train them to think digital. This has to do with the enlargement of the stakeholders of this new education, having to do, for instance, with economics rather than law, etc. This is not present also in the European Union listing of new skills profiles, which are too large. There are too many things, but there is no attention of the fact that technologists of the future are not only people coming from engineering and computers. Fantastic lack of intelligence. Second question for people who interviewed on the upgrading of their services to the universities, technology innovation, which is not like this today anywhere in the world.
You are right 100%, specifically on the training the teacher or the professor. And we know audiences of the professor on adopting technology, they are all reluctant. Why? Because we have the cultural gap. They know that, okay, to acquire all the information, they need a lot of time, but also they have the scare about replacing them. I think this is the concept of understanding the use of technology in the classroom. And always we told them, no, you are always here, you stay here, your brain will be always the master of knowledge, the generator of the knowledge, but you have to change your way only. The second part is really this what I give an example about the coding in schools. Why we are doing the coding, okay, this is an initiative which I like. Doing the coding in early stage, this is to produce producers, developers. Why? Because we are consumers, unfortunately. We love buying things, and specifically the fancy thing. But I would like to see people develop things and sell it in our region. And specifically in coding, I think Egypt, they have an initiative of 1 million coder. And Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid in the Emirates, he has the global or the global initiative about 50 million coders in Arab worlds. And here I think this is good to have it, but this is something this is for competition. But I need to see it as a curriculum, for example, in the class, that people, they acquire the right knowledge and practice it to have the right skill.
Thank you. Another question?
Jordanian mathematician. I am HPC user. So I was engaged in Link Scheme 1. They made the institute, a Cyprus Institute, custom, I think, in Cyprus. And they were thinking in 2010 about connecting Jordan and Lebanon. So I want to ask Dr. Camille, especially Jordan and Lebanon, to the Cyprus Institute, where you can have an HPC access. Well, I tried it, but I failed due to some reasons. So I wonder if you are in Lebanon trying to connect to this Cyprus Institute, have any experience with this, and if the Link Scheme project actually had success in linking the Mediterranean together.
As far as HPC in Lebanon, in fact, we're connecting to Stern, but no activities with Cyprus. We haven't tried that. So.
Why did it not success?
What, with Cyprus?
Yeah, with Cyprus. They were interested in connecting Jordan and Lebanon and Cyprus together.
That never came to us. I haven't heard about that story. But our main efforts now are Stern.
Let me add here, because I know the project and I worked for that some time. So Jordan is connected and you should be able to access the site there in Cyprus. And the same for Lebanon. I think maybe you are not aware of this setup, which is a huge HPC setup that has been deployed by the European Commission. That's dedicated for the South and East, Southeast Europe and Mediterranean. So you are eligible to be used. Maybe you are not aware of it. So you can
Yeah.
I really appreciate your passion in the area of getting things right, in the area of, in terms of educating the younger ones. But we all know that technology helps, and you have said that it should be used as tools, which is great, but not removing humans, but still getting things done. But my point is on distance learning. I just want to know your view about it, because I can be in Jordan and obtain a degree from the US without meeting any instructor. What's your view about that? Are there particular courses that should not be floated on distance learning? Or are there areas where an education expert could advise so that we still do not lose these skills, the creative thinking, problem solving skill, not just to read and pass exam. So that's my question. Thank you.
Good. Thank you for the question. I think this question is for all Arab wars. We have a real problem in the accreditation process in recognizing the online learning or the distance learning due to some political reasons or to some, non-trust of the education institution to deliver the online learning in the right way. The comparison between both are similar. Online learning and face-to-face, they have to match 100%. The only way is the delivery mode. Face-to-face is in the classroom, and the online, it could be self-paced, which means you deliver on the learning management system all the required teaching materials with the methodology that the students will learn by themselves. Or you have to do kind of an asynchronous, which means you do kind of a chat with the student or deliver it online synchronously. A lot of universities worldwide, they succeed on delivering this in a right way. In United Arab Emirates, we have Hamdan bin Mohammed Smart University. They are an online university, but they are using the blended learning methodology accredited by the Ministry of Higher Education. And here, I think the only university, but most of the universities now, they are asking for the blended learning online. You can do it in a certain way, that not going to the accreditation, not facing the problem of the accreditation. But the methodology should be the same, like the learning outcome should match from both sides, from face-to-face to the online learning. And here, this is the challenge of the university adopting this one, how to prove to the accreditation that they are matching the same criteria or matching the objectives of the courses with the learning outcome from the student, like the presence, for example, how to do the presence of the students online. You have to create a certain mechanism that the student, when he is in the online or the webinar, that you have to register his name and something like that, and to show it as an evidence. Okay.
Okay. Can I add just?
Yes, please.
I would like to mention the experience of Tunisia in terms of distance education. The Virtual University of Tunis has been offering online degrees for a number of years. And it's national, maybe MS degrees, as well as at the level of, not BS, but the licence. It's the license, the 3-year diploma for a number of years. Not only that, actually, most universities, not a single college in Tunisia, does not have at least one course that is supposed to offer through the Virtual University of Tunis online. So this blended learning is good, and it's adopted. It can help, actually. It can help reduce the cost of education. Not only that, you might not have the expertise at your college, and then you might use an excellent professor material provided by somebody else.
And you have another, social impact, like outreach of the students. Like here, the Syrian Virtual University, they are connecting with the Syrian refugees or the Syrian worldwide with the virtual university, and they are doing their study, their curriculum.
Actually, at one point in time, I was interested in looking who's offering in the Arab world online degrees, and I found plenty of commercial, private enterprises who offer this education through a partnership with European, mainly UK. And there are, for example, university campuses in Saudi Arabia, in Jordan, in Kuwait, in many places. It's the same university with partnership with UK. There are plenty of them, I guess, but maybe you are not aware. No, there are plenty of successful experiences.
The problem is the recognition of the...
No, they are accredited. They have accredited diplomas. I agree.
Yeah, thank you all for... Okay. What
do we really need the accreditation of or we need to apply the traditional education system on the new way of teaching? So do we instead need to accredit this? The market should accept these degrees or these skills that the students acquire from the new way of learning and the new way of understanding, then will be admitted or get for the job. But we are applying traditional education system to a new way of teaching. So why we are looking for to accreditize the new online degrees, or that if the graduate or the applicant has the skills that meet the job requirement, then they should be hired. Why we are chasing the accreditation and the traditional education system? This is one of the...
Can we just make all our questions related to the NREN business, whatever cover business? So, because it will take a lot of debate, which is... please go ahead.
My question is to Dr. Ahmed. We are friends since a long time on LinkedIn, since you were with Habib. And my comment is, why do we need, exactly like what he said, why do we need the micro accreditation? automation algorithm that needs to work with current computers where they're having hundreds and thousands of computers. And they were just looking for how I interact and how I ask questions and how I ask for clarification. They were abstract. They interviewed me to death. Still, I'm alive. So basically, why do we need the macro accreditation altogether? Metricity, drag. And there are so many people trying to push the education wheel. But at the end of the day, it's the student who sits at the table and tries to learn. And everything is available. So why don't we give people the ability to go through online hiring agencies where they actually provide them with their feedback on how to get hired, and to cut through all this, like long journey of non-productive business. Thank you.
Thank you. We brought Ahmed here to speak not on accreditation. Actually, we were wanting to speak on the challenges that NREN should look at. To part of it is that learning and bringing new generations and so on. It's not to discuss the accreditation, please. So let's continue on the NREN business. Yeah. Here's our one. Yes, please.
Okay. I'm Dr. Ahmed Abdellatif from Comoros University. I hope to you my congratulations for equality and excellency for your presentation. I have two questions for all speakers. The first one, relying on your experiences, what are the main difficulties encountered in implementation NREN and in the use of NREN by the academic community? Second, what advice or guidance will give to a young university like ours who would like to implement NREN? Thank you.
Okay, so basically, as far as difficulties are concerned, first you have to establish a good governance procedure or good governance for NREN, who's responsible for what, and the rights and responsibilities of each party. I also don't know anything about your country, but you also have to look at the infrastructure, how advanced is it in terms of fiber, in terms of connectivity, and all that, and of course in terms of regulations also. Is it very much regulated? Is it a monopoly? So all these factors will affect you.
Okay, thank you. I think, we can sit together as I told you, and we can come up with steps where we can. We are glad that another Arab country is coming here to the conference from Comoros, so we can sit together and see what is the best approach, as Camille said, depends on the availability of infrastructure, the regulations, and the willingness of the government support and so on. I have a question from Salim and from Ibrahim, and these will be the last ones. Okay.
In fact, I was just trying to rescue the discussion as to NREN, so that was not more or less a question. But one of the main issues we're facing, as ASREN in our region, is the great diversity between the pricing of internet, of capacities, and so it goes like in Jordan into, let's say, €1 per megabits per second per month to 200 euros per megabit per second per month. And you can find all kinds of diversities in the pricing of these bits per second. And this is something that we as ASREN are facing. We're not able to create this macro their power just to make more money, but they're not serving this other special education, and this is very annoying. And we will not be able to advance, whatever research, whatever education, whatever means we want to do. Today, without technology, without the infrastructure, we're not going to do anything. So this is the main challenge. And I think we do not have solutions for this. I just that you're struggling with us, but we can't really find solutions for this. Because without the cooperation with the efforts of the Arab countries, we will not be able. And Ahmed, you remember the story of interconnecting this last mile connection in France?
Yes.
It took years before ever doing anything. And it's not only in Emirates, it's everywhere. You can find these issues and problems everywhere in every single Arab country. We're blessed in Jordan. To be frank with you, we're really blessed because the cost of internet is just today. It's like more or less like Europe or maybe like other advanced countries. As my colleague said in the morning, that Orange has provided us connections. It's really very affordable. We're very lucky that we were able to get this 1 gigabit per second connection from Jordan to London. It's much cheaper than getting a connection within Amman city as well, within Amman. And our focus now as ASREN is to create this Connect that we started 3 years ago, but we're not able to move anyway because of the pricing of the connection. So the pricing of the connection is very, very expensive. We can't really do anything with this. So we will have some discussions on how do we create these connections and the infrastructure so that we can connect the universities. Otherwise, it has been a big failure because of the pricing of the connections in the other countries.
Can we have just two very quick questions because the lunch is becoming cold now.
I agree with Dr. Ahmed, and I'd like to share with you some experience done in Egypt. We did some national exam for 500 students from Faculty of Medicine, on knowledge base and critical thinking base. Most of students from different faculties have high score in knowledge, but in critical thinking they have great score in interpretation only. What about problem solving, reasoning, and they have low score. So I agree with you, we should add the soft skills to curriculum. In addition, we noticed that some private universities in Egypt have good reputation, not because they add the soft skills in addition to knowledge. As you mentioned that the professor should be one source of knowledge, not the all source. Thank you.
Thank you. Last question. Actually, it's coming. Another question. So we're not clear with us.
Okay. First of all, I'm a professor at the high school, the Collection Studies Algiers. I would like first of all to say good intervention and presentation, Mr. Ahmed Dabbagh. I agree that we have to change and adapt the way of teaching. But I don't think, in fact, that it will be changed completely the university or the high school. It's only complementary by introducing skill levels, basic levels, and ICTs. The second part, what do you think about the MOOC experience and system between or through your presentation? We don't heard about that. And finally, if there's experience, will maybe be good at the level of higher education. What do you think about primary school? We see that pupils not really, if there is not very present or how I could say that we have to go to school, not having a screen, and we can improve our skills at the age or level of primary school.
Thank you.
I will answer only for the MOOC. The rest will be during lunch. Yeah, okay. The MOOC because it's related to The MOOC is also part of the distance learning, but here the MOOC here, we will take it in the Arab world. We have a lot of instances like Dabbagh from from Jordan, from other countries. It's great, but we have all to be together to create this content, specifically in Arabic, because we see a lot of MOOC in Arab words, but are still in English. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I have to close this session, but before that, we have a very interesting roundtable in the afternoon, and it will be followed by another session on how and why do we use research networks. We have very distinguished speakers, and the same for tomorrow. All I need from you to those who did not give his presentation or her presentation, please pass it to Habib before the session, please, so that we keep the time for the speakers and for you to ask questions. We have, because we are late, we will take 1 hour lunch, so please be back at 2:15 so that we can start our next session. So the lunch will be served in just to the right, Camille, restaurant of the hotel. Thank you, and join me in thanking the speakers.